Órale! Bienvenidos and welcome to the Familia FFB podcast. Familia! It is draft weekend, September 1st. Football is here 1 week from today, Familia. We are going to be live at SoFi Stadium. You might see a certain someone there with, kind of enjoying some Rams Bills, kicking off the season. We'll see. Vamos a ver. But hey, familia, I'm just so pumped for this show, to be able to bring you some of my guys. But first off, make sure, hey, we're on YouTube. We're live on YouTube. Give us a like and subscribe. And oh my goodness, Dame. Está caliente. You know what I'm doing? I'm reminding myself of cool thoughts, and I'm gonna, it is a heat wave, but thankfully the air conditioner got checked and cleaned a few days ago, so we're in good shape. So please, everybody, power grid people with the DWP, keep the power on for us so that we can keep going here. Also, familia. And so, yeah, we just got to keep going on. Stay inside, stay hydrated, everybody, please, because we want to be able to make it to football season. But we're also reminding ourselves of cool thoughts, and you're going to see some of the cool thoughts that are coming out in a little bit. And again, follow us on Familia FFB, wherever you get your podcasts. So audio podcasts, you get there. Also, Familia, we are a proud member of fantasypoints.com. I mean, the Fantasy Points Familia, Fantasy Points Media Group, we are so proud to be a part of this. When you put in the promo code 22Familia10, we're going to get you 10% off. Now, this is the biggest draft and at fantasy football draft weekend. There is so much great content. Literally, like, I'm going to tell you, I had close to, I had 5-6 hours in the plane both ways. I downloaded so much content from Fantasy Points that I didn't even need to crack open a book that I took, because there was so much good stuff for me to take in. So make sure you get 10% off. You're going to get so much great content, and not just to get you ready for drafts, but during the season, how to hit the waivers, how to look at trades, looking at dynasty work. I mean, everything you want. Fantasypoints.com, Familia. And Familia, I mean, just so excited. Every time I think of this, also gotta make sure to give a little bit of a quick shout out. Let's see. So yes, Dame Overboard. Yes, we did make it. And yes, Mr. Scampers, I am staying so frosty, so frosty. Por favor, let's all stay frosty. I might have something frosty cool after this. I'm still getting my voice back to 100% after that little bit of issue I came down with after Canton. But this is the My Guys edition, and a lot of other people have been doing it. I figured, what's one more My Guys? And you know what? I'm getting it at a little bit of a different spin. It's so funny when I think of this. When I think of My Guys, I always think of that song, that Mary Wells song, from that classic from the '60s. Nothing you can do can take me away from my guy. You didn't think you'd be getting some singing today, but I tell you, yes. That song, as I was putting together kind of like the show doc for this, I just kept coming back to that song, and it kept coming through my head. And you know what? This is time to kind of like, make some declarations, plant some flags, declare some guys who are my guys. And, we're about to reveal them. And I've really mulled over a lot of these. Some I've actually been doing instead of thinking, instead of dreaming, instead of sleeping. But my criteria is that these are players whom I think that their ADP is not commensurate with how they should be getting drafted, where I think they'll finish. So there are some guys that are first round talents or close to first round talents that I think are actually going to outperform what they even did. So so they're relatively high, but I think they're going to go even higher, and I'm going to tell you why. And there's some players that I think are getting drafted in the low to mid areas, and I think they're going to smash. But kind of a little. Oh, by the way, Dame Overboard, Mr. Scampers, anybody else in the chat you want to throw in some questions, I will get to them as whenever we get a break in the action or get to them at the end. I'm going to make sure to take care of you because it's draft time. If you got any questions on, you're picking at the one, I've got the 105 and in my Familia draft. So that's kind of do I go for, one of the receivers, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase? Do I go with someone, if Austin Eckler falls to me, do I grab him? Do I take a chance on Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook, considering their injury histories? So much to think about with these guys. So I'm still kind of formulating my plan of attack on this one. I'm going to be taking a train back on Sunday to make sure that I'm getting into getting in on time to the draft and with my primos. And so there's going to be so much fun stuff to put in there. And thankfully there will be a pool, so we can do that. We're not going to be on on any kind of timer, so we'll be able to jump in between picks. But yeah, you know what? My first guy is someone that I've really, over the last month, really started to come to the party on, and that's Kyler Murray. He's going off at the QB5, number 53 overall. And you know what? There are so many people who want to call him injury prone, that he's little, that he can't take a hit and everything like that. Well, you know what? He's 1 inch shorter than Russell Wilson. And, Russell Wilson spent a lot of years in Seattle with just not very good offensive line. So I'm not going to call what's happened with Kyler Murray to be any kind of injury prone. I'm just going to call it bad luck. It's a shoulder injury that after he took a big hit. And also there's there was an ankle injury, which, sprained ankles, a lot of times, you get piled up. You don't know what's going to happen. It could, it could just be somebody falls on him. Look at one of the guys we're going to talk about, it happened. It was a total accident on how an ankle got sprained. But I look at Kyler Murray. I look at that incredible start that he had last season when the Cardinals were 7-0 to start the season. He was on a pace to throw for 4,862 yards and 41 touchdowns. He was the QB2 through up to that point in the season. So I'm looking at him, and he wasn't even rushing that much, but he was also on a pace for 306 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. So you look at that. I mean, that's over 5,000 total yards and almost 50 touchdowns. This is something that when I talked to Jess Root of USA Today during my NFL Insider Series, he was the first one to point out this was a possibility to him. So I'm putting him. I'm planting my flag on him. I think he going in the range of Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. I think he can actually leapfrog a couple of those guys. I think he's got QB1 in his sights, QB1 overall, but I'm putting him in as my QB3 coming into the season. I think he's going to throw for about 4,300 yards, add in somewhere around 300 to 500 rushing yards, and about 40 total touchdowns. 5 of those, I'm saying 35 of those are going to be in the air. The Cardinals don't have a great defense. They're their pass rush is taking a big hit. Their DBs are gonna struggle. And add to it, so there's going to be plenty of shootouts. Also, there's a favorable schedule that I talked about earlier. After week 6, the Cardinals either play in a dome or California every week except for one the remainder of the season. That's week 15, a trip to Denver. They could hit some weather at that point. It's December, obviously, but it could also be 40, 50 degrees, but nice and dry, not a lot of wind. And then next thing you know, it's a shootout with Russell Wilson. So I'm looking at fast tracks. They're really favorable to Murray. I think by the second half of the season, he'll have DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, by the way, keep an eye on Hollywood Brown early in the season, especially week 1, because Zach Ertz and Rondale Moore, 2 of the guys who were supposed to get a lot of the work with DeAndre Hopkins out, they're kind of iffy for that season. So even if they're diminished a little bit, Hollywood Brown, he's going to eat. Another guy who's going to eat. Hold on one second. So a big question here from Dame Overboard. How does your strategy change in a 14 team draft, if at all? And you got to draft next Wednesday out of the 6th spot. So Dame, that's a great question, because that same day I've got a draft I've got the 101, and one of the things that I was talking about with my partner is we want kind of safety. There is do we talk about, do we go for home runs with CMC, or do we go for or do we play it safe, grab the guy that we think is going to win us a title, and it's Jonathan Taylor. So I think we're going to go more safe. So I think you want to go safety, so a little more safety. I think one of the things out of the 6th spot here, if it's PPR, which I hope you're playing PPR, I think it's someone who he's someone who I look at in a 14 team league, where I'm looking at number 6 overall. If I'm not going to get a running back at that point, I want to get one of those stud receivers right off the bat, because I want to get one of the studs instead of the 5th best running back out there. I want a guy who's going to give me 1,500 yards receiving, who's going to pile up the catches, and also going to get me 10 plus touchdowns. And so I would really look at going for one of the top light wide receivers at number 6. They've all, 2 of the 3 of them have favorable schedules in the playoffs. I'm going to talk about one of them in a second. So is this my primo Eddie Gutierrez? Best TE in fantasy football. It's Travis Kelce this year, with Mark Andrews right behind him, and Kyle Pitts is gaining on all of them. I love Dawson Knox this year. I love Dawson Knox. So I think that's one of the best pass offenses in all of football. And I look at him. I think there are fewer mouths to feed than were there last year. It's going to be concentrated. Definitely Stephon Diggs is the number 1 guy. The number 2 guy is going to be Gabriel Davis. It's going to be very clear. Number 3, there's going to be some Isaiah McKenzie, but Dawson Knox is really good. Greg Thompson from Cover One Bills, he is a really big proponent on him being just an incredible pick this year, incredibly athletic. He's going to be a guy to get out there. So yes, definitely, very much. So Dame, I hope I answered your question. If you want to send me a DM further and give me a little details, but I really think be very ready to go for one of those receivers, because of course you said it's PPR, not a monster, and I love Kyler Murray falling to round 8 in an OG home league. That's great. I picked up Patrick Mahomes in round 6 in the Fantasy Points staff draft a couple of days ago, and I felt great about it. I didn't want to have to grab him in round 4 or 5. No, round 6 might have been, and it was close to round 7. So going there. Pink's picks. I have a bone to pick with you real quick. You stole Mike Evans, so we could have stacked him with Tom Brady. We could have had a double stack of Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson, and Mike Evans and Tom Brady. So you sniped us on that one, but I still love you, brother. I still love you. Okay, so Familia, next guy, and actually since mi amigo Davis is in the Bay Area, Trey Lance, he's going off his QB 13, number 104. Now, if you guys, if you haven't checked it out, I had a guest appearance on Compas on the Beat with Gilbert Manzano and Fernando Ramirez, and they did a fantasy football palooza episode, and they invited me as one of their experts on there. They asked me to talk about sleepers. Trey Lance is one of my sleepers. Let's forget for a second that they re-signed, that the 49ers re-signed Jimmy Garoppolo. It's a team-friendly deal. It's to hold a clipboard, but, this does a few things. It gives the 49ers some insurance just in case Trey Lance gets hurt or isn't ready. It's a guy who knows the offense. But I think the thing that hasn't been talked about much, it lights a little bit of fire under Lance. And he every time I've seen him interviewed, he says all the right things. He's incredibly composed and mature beyond his years. I think he's got a little bit something. He's got a little something that I saw Clayton Kershaw have when he was 20 years old. Just knew when to say the right thing and what to come out. So I'm expecting Trey Lance to rise up to the occasion this year. But I'm going to tell you, it's not always going to be pretty. I go back to Josh Allen 2019. So that season had plenty of pimples on it, but he still finished with over 3,000 yards passing and 20 touchdowns. He also ran for 510 yards and 9 touchdowns. That put him at QB6. This is what we're talking about, that rushing upside. I keep looking at Lance, and I keep seeing Steve Mcnair from the late 90s and 2000s. I mean, just such a big physical presence, such a great running, rushing with great rushing ability. I want to see him kind of slide a little more. I want to see him go out of bounds. I want to see him live to play another day. But I mean, this is a team that's got a great running game. So he's not going to face. He's gonna be able to, like, there's going to be some room for the receivers because there's going to be a lot of packing in of the defenses. But and I think his floor is going to be 500 rushing yards, and I think he could be way over 800 rushing yards by the end of the season, because he could be like around 50 yards, rushing 50 yards a game, which puts him at 850. The other thing is he's got 3 great playmakers: Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk. All of them, what do they have in common? They have great yak ability, yards after the catch. So there's going to be a lot of like 1-yard passes that are going to be turned into 20, 30, 40, 50 yards, because these players have just incredible yards after the catch ability. And he's also getting his blind side protected by an all-pro, Trent Williams. He's one of the best in the game. So, and lastly, as our compadre Cam Inman from the East Bay Times and San Jose Mercury News pointed out, Lance has an expert play caller in Kyle Shanahan. So I'm looking at him as just a great possibility, as someone who's going to get, Shanahan is going to call the right plays for Trey Lance. And I love the capabilities. I love the possibilities for him. I think it's a great opportunity. Another one that I like this year, and this has been a fantasy points dandy, so I'm giving my own little sabor latino, my own spin. Derek Carr, he's going off as the QB 14 right now, number 109. So he's, that's what, like the 10th round right there. These are the Raiders' target leaders after Hunter Renfro's surprisingly, he saw 128 targets last year. These are the next 3 target leaders on the team. You had Darren Waller with 93, Zay Jones was 70, Josh Jacobs was 64. You'd think that Derek Carr had a tough time on the season, but no, this guy still threw for over 4,800 yards on the season with these suspect pass catchers and so much turmoil. Lost his coach during the season, and also the Henry Ruggs tragedy. So, there were big things. On top of it, Brian Edwards was a big disappointment. So, who was expected to do big things before the season. Now, what does he have? You replace Brian Edwards with Devante Adams. Devante freaking Adams, who still, for my money, is the best wide receiver in the game. Is he going to be the number 1 wide receiver in our game, in the fantasy game? I have him pegged at number 4 just because I think the other guys, but I think he's going to be right with them. So Carr has a talented trio. You adding to Adams. Waller is healthy. I think he got healthy with this little contract extension that he's going to sign. I have that. I have a feeling that was more of a hold in than really he was injured. And you still got Renfro, who also, remember, Josh McDaniels. Who did he make superstars? Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. The slot guys. Hunter Renfro is going to eat. He's going to catch. He's, even with Devante Adams catching so many balls. And again, he's going to be getting, Devante Adams is going to be getting 10 targets a game. Renfro is going to be up around 90 to 100 receptions this year. I think the big thing that you talk about with Derek Carr is the touchdowns last year. He only had 23. Adams is a TD machine. He had 18 in 2020 just by himself. So I'm not saying that he's going to get that much, but I do think Devante Adams is going to go well into the double digits in touchdowns. You add 7 more touchdowns to the 23 that Carr threw last year. He's the QB 10 on the season. And right now you're paying QB 14 prices on him, and he's very easy to stack. You could get Devante Adams early, and then you could get you could get Carr way late in drafts, and he's going to be up there around 5,000 yards this year, Familia, and 30 to 35 touchdowns. The other thing to keep in mind, look at the AFC West. So he's got 6 games, almost over a third of his schedule, where he's locking horns with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson. And the Raiders, their defense is going to be a little suspect this year. They're going to have a great pass rush with Chandler Jones and Max Crosby, but their DBs are going to be a little suspect. So if people can kind of hold off the pass rush a little bit, Carr is going to, those guys, the DBs they're going to have some time to throw. So and they're going to be able to put up some points, which means that Carr is going to have to put up some points. So I think that it's going to be a really, really big season for Carr. Now we're going to go over to the running backs, and with apologies, well, I'm not a Dr. Edwin Porras apologist, even though I talked about injury prone earlier, how, reinforcing his message that it's a lie. So he's not making me type this, but Saquon Barkley. He's going off as the RB9, number 17 overall. I've liked Barkley all season, Familia. I got him plenty late in the second round and sometimes in the third round of best ball drafts early on. In the Scott Fish Bowl, where I got to hang out a little bit with Dame and Mr. Scampers, I got him in the 4th round. Right at the turn. And I'm telling you, here's what I like about him. He's in the second year coming off his ACL surgery, when running backs tend to be at their best after that ligament repair. He's just 25. He's also, so he's got a full off season to get past that high ankle sprain, which Edwin has pointed out that is not, the recurrence rate is really low on those and on hamstrings. It's low when it's been this much amount of time. And it was such a freak injury because it literally, like, he was running and he inadvertently stepped on a player stepped on the instep of his ankle and really screwed him up for much of the season. So, and Barkley has also talked about the fact that he was kind of gaining the trust in his knee a little bit before he got hurt. So, I like Barkley so much. I'm really considering him at the 105 of my Familia draft. It's a standard draft. I know they're monsters, Dame. I can't get them to change. I'm one of the older guys. I bring progressive ideas. They want to stay in the Stone Ages. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if they were driving, old school cars to old school 57 Chevy or something like that, which would look very, it would look very stereotypical Latinos. So, but one thing that also was pointed out to me is, from Paul Dottino from WFAN. He was very adamant on the fact that Barkley is very much on a mission. And I love motivated players going into contract seasons. So, and he's really the only healthy offensive weapon who's going into the season really looking like he's at full speed. The wide receivers are kind of a mess right now. There are a lot of injuries. Daniel Jones has looked okay, but I think what's going to happen with an improved offensive line, we're going to have Saquon Barkley up around 1,200 yards and 500 receiving yards and about a dozen TDs. I just think that bad injury luck that he's had is going to change. So another one that we've got going on, Familia. And okay, let's all hold hands right now. Damien Pierce. He's going off as running back 36, number 87 overall. Okay, those days that we're getting him in the 10th round, they're gone. Okay, I even got him in the at the end of the 11th round in the Scott Fish Bowl. So that be warned, everybody in the forum division. But the reality of, if you want Pierce now, you have to pay up. Everybody's talked about him in much. He went at the 409 just this week in that fantasy points staff draft. So I was about to take him on my next turn. So everybody's on to him, especially the sharps. And there's a lot to like. I fell in love with his running style at the Senior Bowl. Bo Mcnair, friend, compadre of the show, he had the greatest comp for Pierce. Marion Barber, RIP Marion Barber. He's got that violent, hard charging running style and the dreads flowing out of the helmet. So, and then he goes to the Texans, who, did not have a lot of talent in their running back room. And this week they just waived Marlon Mack. So really the only competition that he's got is Rex Burkhead and maybe Royce Freeman later on, those guys are just clear backups. And here's another thing. People have talked about, is he going to stay on the field? Greg Cosell, I will every episode I will point out he is the G when it comes the GOAT when it comes to film study. He said that he pointed out that Pierce ran actual routes, not just little dump off passes. That he was running wheel routes. He was running real routes out of the backfield at Florida. So he's got the pass catching chops. He's also shown up in pass protection. He's got everything you want in a bell cow running back. I'm predicting he's going to get 250 total, at least 250 total touchdowns, over 1,200 yards, and he's going to get 8 to 10 touchdowns. That's going to be sniffing the top 10 running backs. Basically, remember, Ezekiel Elliott was still in the top 10 running backs last year, as washed as he looked so much. So again, you're going to have to pay up for him, but he's going to pay off. He is going to pay off. So he's going to stay on the field. The next guy, okay, here we go. Yeah, we're gonna see peak Saquon, Mr. Scampers. It's gonna be peak Saquon. So vamonos. Let's light it up. Let's light it up. Dame, I don't know if if you want to get crazy, you can pick him at 106 in that draft because he's gonna catch passes. I don't know if he's going to catch 70 passes like Austin Eckler, but I could see him in the 50 to 60 range very easily. Just coming, because that was the other thing that Paul Dottino pointed out. He was going to get plenty of work. He's actually running plenty of routes. So they're going to show everything with him, and they're going to get the Giants are going to get their money's worth, and whoever's going to pay it, because he wants to make, because that my man Saquon wants to make sure that he gets paid this year. So next guy, Ramondre Stevenson. First time I saw him watching film of Oklahoma. Oh, by the way, he's going off as a running back 34 and number 88 overall. Kind of showing my age a little bit, but I had a flashback to Marcus Dupree in the 1980s. Oklahoma, he just looked like the same kind of guy. No glasses like Marcus Dupree had, but he had the size, the powerful running style. It just brought me back. And now, Stevenson is in an offense that's using him to the fullest. They've talked about that, how they're using him in the passing game. They just waived James White and Brian Bolden. So all of the passes coming out of the backfield, the running back passes there's gonna be a fair amount that are going Stevenson's way. And he's now getting drafted ahead of Damien Harris, his teammate, who scored 15 touchdowns last year and was the RB8. So I'm looking at Stevenson to top 1,000 total yards. He's going to share some work in the red zone because he is that big banger back. Getting him in the eighth round, you're going to get a payoff, Familia. Okay, so Familia, it's time to plant a flag. Okay, it is time to plant a flag. Let's see. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Let's see. Dame, you just you just traded McLaurin and Gabriel Davis, Saquon and A-Rob. You know what? Saquon and A-Rob, I'm telling you, I love the upside of the two of them. Coming off of injuries, Gabriel Davis and McLaurin are going to be good, but is Davis a little bit overheated? And McLaurin, there's still the question mark of Wentz. I think they're both going to be good. I think they're both going to be over 1,000 yards, but A-Rob is going to cancel out one of them. And if you're going to get Saquon, you're talking about a guy who could get you 15 to 1,800 yards by himself, total yards with tons of catches out of the backfield. I love that. I love that trade for you. Love that trade for you. This offseason. So, third overall in a keeper league. Pang. Love it. Saquon, third overall. Love it. Dr. Edwin, I'm going to clip that out and I'm going to give it to Dr. Edwin Porras and send it to him and make sure. So, yes, PPR, baby. All day. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Dame. If you're that's the thing. If you're acquiring wide receiver depth and turning it into a stud running back. That's just smart. Muy inteligente, muy inteligente. That's why you were crushing it at the Scott Fish Bowl. I kept hearing how you just kept nailing it, and I know the FYF crews pulled you in on a few mock drafts, and that you're not to be denied, and because you're game overboard. So let's get back to my guys a little bit. The guy I'm planting my flag, my bandera de honor, Jamar Chase from right there. Okay. You might say he's going off number 3, wide receiver number 3, number 9 overall. I'm planting my flag, familia. Wide receiver 1. Jamar Chase, wide receiver 1 in 2022. Now, Justin Jefferson truthers, Cooper Kupp truthers, those aficionados, they're going to come at me. So, familia, I love those guys too. I just love Chase a little bit more. Un poquito más. Yes. Yeah, the strength emoji. Yes, I'm showing some strength right now. The reason why I like him a little bit more, as extraordinary as he was with 81 catches, 1,455 yards, 13 TDs last year, he could be better. He could actually be better. He had a 63.3% catch rate last year. That was just number 140 on the season. His 11 drops on the season. Number 2 was Justin Jefferson. At 128 targets, he was number 20 in the league. All of those numbers are areas that are where he's gonna improve. His catch rate's gonna go up. His targets are gonna go up, and here's why: the targets are going up. And I had this discussion with somebody recently who's saying that Jamar Chase's targets aren't going to go up because he's got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. Those guys are going to get theirs. The Bengals are going to go. I mean, Joe Burrow, the pass rate increased dramatically in the second half of the season when his knee was 100%, was way past the injury. So here we are, full off season, another year in the offense. I think they're going to go even more, and Chase is the alpha dog on this one, el perro. So, and one of the things, offseason reports are that the Bengals are going to be, really begin using him a lot more in the slot this year. Paul Diener of the Athletic pointed out that the percentage of snaps that Chase saw in the slot was just about 13% through the first 12 games. In the last 12 games, it was up around 20. That number could keep going up this year because Chase getting those targets in the slot that Cooper Kupp did last year in the Rams. Because where did head coach Zach Taylor, what part of the coaching tree is he coming from? Sean McVay's coaching tree. They're going to use Chase in kind of like that power slot. And he's going to be getting a lot of layup throws. He's going to be getting about 10. He's going to be getting up close to 10 targets a game, 9 to 10 targets a game. And in that high-powered offense, be it with Joe Burrow, he's great. The other thing I look at, let's remember the work he did in the Super Bowl. There were a lot of isolations with him and Jalen Ramsey, where Jalen Ramsey was working like crazy on him, and he had a lot of one-on-ones. And Chase still beat him a lot. Remember the last play of the game. The only reason why the Rams are champions right now is because all-pro, all-world, one of the greats of all time, Aaron Donald, came up and made a great play, and he saved the game for the Rams. Because if Burrow had one more second, he would have found Jalen Ramsey on the ground, because Chase had beaten him on that last play. And he had him dead to right. If Burrow looks up, that's a touchdown, and I firmly believe that the Bengals are champions today. So so that's the thing. Even the best DBs are getting beaten by Chase. It's kind of like that hitter who still hits great pitching. That's what you're getting with Chase. So he's beating the best DBs. He's going to improve on the drops. He's going to be getting more catches. And lastly, here's another reason why I love him a little bit more over Jefferson. Week 17. It's Fantasy Football Championship week, familia. This is what's putting me over the board. I think Justin Jefferson is going to have a great season. I think he's going to get 1,600 yards. I think he's going to catch about 110, 120 passes. I think he's going to have a phenomenal season. He's going to get 10 touchdowns. Week 17 is the money week, familia. And this is the week that you need to win. The Bills are going to Cincinnati for a Monday Night Football game that is going to be a slugfest. This is going to be Ali and Frazier, and this is just going to be a fight. And this is going. I mean, who knows? This could be Rams Chiefs in 2018 when that was 54-51. That's what we could be looking at on Monday Night Football, and that's going to be on January 2nd. So you're looking at that one, and you hope and pray, please. I'm praying for just cold, no wind, no snow, no rain, no nothing. Just give us beautiful football weather. Now, let's look at the day before. The Vikings are going to frigid Green Bay. Now, last year when they went to Green Bay, now granted they had the Vikings had it was the same week, and they had a backup quarterback. Justin Jefferson did not have a big game, so maybe you chalk that up to the quarterback being out. Well, they also went to Chicago with Kirk Cousins, also had a Met game. So, and that was in sub-freezing temperatures. Dome teams, when they go into the cold, do not do well, familia. So that's what's tilting me a little bit. Chase over Jefferson. So I think I think Jefferson's extraordinary. I just think that Chase is going to win people some money, win people their leagues, and it's just and Jefferson is going to get people to the championships, and hopefully somebody else wins them the championship. So the next one I think is going to warm the hearts of yes. Jose Wright, mi amigo. Yes, I'm fired up, baby. I'm fired up. Yes. Yes, mi amigo. Love you, man. Starts its salutations. Gracias for joining. Yeah, I tell you, you know what? I'm looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown. I get the argument that ARSB that he was running unopposed this year with no TJ Hawkinson, and when he made that late season run, Deandre Swift was in and out of the lineup. Still, this is a guy from weeks 13 to 18. He caught 51 passes on 67 targets, 560 yards, 5 TDs. That was the wide receiver 2 overall, just behind Cooper Kupp. During that's major production, and I'm just banking on the fact that St. Brown, he's the real deal, and the camp reports are coming out that he is the alpha dog in that lineup. And when you talk about him last year, somebody was recently telling me, I think it was John Hansen, was telling me that St. Brown reminded him of Robert Woods. And who did Jared Goff love throwing to from 2018 to 2020? Robert Woods. During those years, these are the wide receiver finishes for Woods. Wide receiver 11, wide receiver 14, wide receiver 13. St. Brown thrives in the slot, and there's going to be even better targets with Goff in the second season. More comfortable in the offense. Obviously, they had the eyeballs for Hard Knocks on them. I'm telling you, there's so many things that are going forward to the looking forward for the looking up for the Lions. You got the improved offensive line. I mean, there's other wide receivers. DJ Chark is going to stretch the field a little bit more, kind of open things up. I think Hawkinson is going to help open things up for St. Brown because they're not going to be able to double him on those intermediate routes. I mean, this is a guy who's going to be. This guy caught 90 balls last year with really doing his work in the second half of the season. I think we're talking about a guy who's going to get 100 plus receptions this year and over 1,000 yards. I'm going to take that in the middle of the 5th round, familia, and I'm going to take that to the bank. Next one, Brandon Cooks. Oh, Alberto in the house. Muchas gracias. Thank you for joining. Gotta love it. Yes. So we got Brandon Cooks. This is one of those things, death, taxes, and Brandon Cooks gets 1,000 yards receiving. So he's done that 6 of the last 7 years, with the 1 year being an outlier when he was hurt. And he did that with 4 different QBs. So this year, I mean, part of the last year was with Davis Mills. This year he's going to have all of Davis Mills, who, all the reports are he's going to take another step forward. He looked a little uneven during the games, but you know what? I think there's going to be, with a team that's got a rebuilding defense and a quarterback that I firmly believe is going to improve. Pep Hamilton is a very good, really knows how to coach up his quarterbacks. We're going to see how he does as an offensive coordinator, but I mean, that's why I look at Brandon Cooks. I think people, because they expect the Texans to be terrible, they don't look at they look at Cooks as being a guy that's what, they kind of forget about him, and then all he does is just outperform his ADP. He's wide receiver 23 right now, going number 57 overall. This is a guy in the last 2 seasons. He's been wide receiver 20, wide receiver 2017. He's just going to be a target monster. And with consistency coming from Mills, with a lot, and he's going to be one of the field stretchers. Nico Collins is going to be a nice compliment to him. But I just look at the fact that Cooks is going to be that guy that I want to have on my team, as my second or as my third receiver. If I have him as my third receiver, I'm loving it, loving life at that point. So again, don't forget about Cooks. Last receiver that we're going to talk about, we got one more after that. Chris Olave, going off as the wide receiver 44, number 105. Now I keep coming back to when one of the most passionate moments that I had that was shown in all the NFL Insider series was John Hendricks talking about Olave just saying what an incredible player, what a wonderful route runner he is, and I mean, and just such a smooth player. He does not look like he's traveling so fast, but then you look up and he's in the 4.3s in the 40-yard dash. Now, some people say there's no Sean Payton, no Drew Brees. Okay. Pete Carmichael called plays for Drew Brees in 2012 when Peyton was suspended. Drew Brees threw for 5,000 yards and 43 touchdowns. Jameis Winston has thrown for 5,000 yards in the past. So, and 30 plus touchdowns. Now, we're not expecting Jameis to get close to that, but he did suffer from a lack of weapons last year, and I think that's what made them kind of rein in things a little bit more. Now you've got an offense where you bring back Michael Thomas. Say what you will, I know he's got a hamstring right now. They say it's a minor hamstring. I mean, we'll see what the real reports are next week. I'm banking on the fact that maybe he's not 140 catch Michael Thomas, but if he's 80 to 90 catches this year, I think that's going to open up some deep shots for Olave. He is the field stretcher, and what does Winston love to do? He's a mad bomber at heart. He loves to throw deep, and Olave is going to be that guy that he's going to target a bunch deep. So I think he's a great fit for Winston and what they're going to do with the offense. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be Justin. I don't think he's going to be Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase of the last 2 years, but I think he's going to be very productive running wide receiver and one of the best this year. The last one of my guys, Cole Kmet, Familia. I think he's being underdrafted right now, Familia. He's the tight end 11 right now, number 117 overall right now. That's the 10th round of a 12 team league. With Justin Fields, I almost had him on this list. He's got to throw to somebody, and Darnell Mooney is one of the guys. He's going to be one of the calls. This is a guy who's going to zoom past 100 targets. But then who's next? I think it's Cole Kmet. And this is a guy who got 93 targets last year on a combination of Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. Now you got Justin Fields the whole time, and there's going to be possibilities for him. I think he's a wonderful receiver, and look at what Fields loves to do. He loves to throw deep, so he's going to take he is going to take his shots with Darnell Mooney. But let's keep in mind that offensive line is not going to do him any favors. So if he's not going to have to take off and run, he's going to take some intermediate. He's going to do some intermediate throws here, Familia, and that is going to be where Cole Kmet is going to eat this season. I mean, getting 93 targets in a not so good offense. Now all of a sudden he's going into an offense that is kind of like that Packer offense. There's going to be some balance running. There's going to be a lot of possibilities for some intermediate throws. I mean, those are the ones. Robert Tanyan had a big season. He didn't catch up. He saw 60 passes that year, but I think he caught 52 of them and like 10 touchdowns. I don't know if we're going to get that from Cole Kmet, but I think he is going to get plenty of volume. And I look at 2 particular games when Justin Fields started. Week 9 against the Steelers, he threw for 291 yards. Kmet caught 6 balls for 87 yards. Week 15, Fields threw for 285 yards. Kmet caught 6 balls for 71 yards. So keep an eye on those soft matchups, maybe teams that don't have a big pass rush where Fields is going to have time to throw. I think Kmet's going to be a great play in DFS in certain weeks because I think he's going to be a cheap player, and I think he's going to end up smashing his way into the top 10. So fades, familia. Yes, Dame. Oh, you just got him too? Yes. Love it. I think he's gonna start a very beautiful friendship with Justin Fields this year. So I'm gonna get into some quick fades, guys that I'm fading this season. So and one is an entire I don't have any quarterbacks in here because I don't think there was anybody that I particularly wanted to fade. I mean, because Josh Allen, you want Josh Allen, familia? You do you. You want Justin Herbert? You want to pay Patrick Mahomes? You want to pay up for them early? Go ahead. You want those guys? Yes. Feel free. Go ahead. I look at the fact that I was talking about championship week. I really look at championship week a lot. That week 17, all three of them have very good matchups that week. They're all have shots at. I mean, we already talked about Josh Allen. Justin Herbert's playing the Rams, so that's got shootout written all over it. And Patrick Mahomes is taking on the Broncos, another game that's got shootout written all over it. So if those guys are going to take you to the championship, they're going to give you a shot to win. So I'm not fading any of those guys. These are the guys I'm fading. Derrick Henry. Right now, the ADP is 104 on Fantasy Pros. I just can't take Henry over Kupp and Jefferson, and Chase. The hardware on his foot is still a little worrisome. All those miles, I'd rather be a year too early than a year too late on a guy. This next one hurts me. Naji Harris. It's tough. That foot issue that he had is scaring me a little bit. And then he went and divulged that and then there's the offensive line that's been an issue. I mean, I'm looking at he's going off at the 108. I'm looking to pass on him. If I want a running back, I could go Joe Mixon, Deandre Swift at that point, or Aaron Jones, or any of the wide receivers. Chase is going after that. Stephon Diggs or Devante Adams. Any of those guys could be. I trust a little bit more than Naji Harris. Our running back dead zone, familia. You guys have heard me talk about it. I'm a hero running back guy. I want to get my stud early, and then I want to get my next guy after the running back dead zone. I'm really targeting guys like Stevenson and AJ Dillon a lot after the running back dead zone, and now I'm Damien Pierce. I may have to grab him in the running back dead zone, but I'm looking at him. But between picks 28, where Ezekiel Elliott, and number 47, where J.K. Dobbins is, these are the wide receivers that are going in that range. AJ Brown, Kyle Pitts, yes, I know he's a tight end. Michael Pittman, George Kittle, another tight end, Terry McLaurin, and Deontay Johnson. I want these guys over any of the guys. I know Ezekiel Elliott is supposedly healthy and everything like that. I just want to load up on receiver at this point. I want my teams to have those guys, and then I'll go grab somebody after this one. Next guy, Chris Godwin. I like the player, and his situation catching passes from the GOAT is very tempting, but he's number 58. You're still drafting him to be in your starting lineup. And I don't want to draft a guy who I cannot be certain is going to be in my week 1 lineup. Unless I'm not believing that he's going to be there. And in fact, it looks like he's going to be, even if he is in the lineup, that he's going to be limited for the first month. You know what? I want to make the playoffs, and I need guys that are going to be there early on. So these are guys that are going off the board after Godwin that I'm targeting instead. Judy, Allen Robinson, we talked about. Marquise Brown, again, he's going to eat early, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. All those guys are going to start the year healthy. Godwin won't. So I'm passing. Last player, familia, Miles Sanders. I'm full fade. He's already starting the year. It's talking about him being banged up. The Eagle brass, they're showing their trust. They're liking Kenneth Gainwell, who this coaching staff drafted. And Boston Scott's an old reliable. They just added Trey Sermon. So these are guys that are going after him. Michael Thomas. Hunter Renfrow, Cordarrelle Patterson. I would rather have any of those guys other than Miles Sanders. Don't get caught into having to pick a receiver. I mean, a running back at that point. You just feel there's going to be guys there later. Grab Pierce later. Grab Tyler Algier. Gainwell later. I mean, Connor Miles of Sports Illustrated could not rave enough about Kenneth Gainwell. So let's go with there. So hey, let's check the chat real quick and see. Yes, Rams Chargers week 17 is going to be really exciting. JJ and Cup ahead. Yes, I like them, and Henry right after. I may grab him in one. I've still got 4 more drafts to go. I may grab Henry just to have some exposure, but I'm not there. But thoughts on Devante Adams on the new team? I think it's going to be a fantastic look for him. I mean, look at what Josh McDaniels has done integrating an all-world talent into his offense. When he brought in when he brought Randy Moss, he had an all-world season. And I mean, he's still got the record for most touchdowns in a season. I think Devante is, he's already got that great chemistry with Derek Carr. I think when you look at the possibility of, just like I talked about earlier when I was talking about Carr, they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. And the guy that Carr is going to be looking for first is going to be Devante Adams. So that's gonna be his number one guy, his number one target. He's gonna get. I firmly believe he's gonna get targeted with peppered with 10 targets a game. He's gonna be top 5 in targets overall, maybe even top 2 or 3, because they're also gonna be in a lot of shootouts this season. Their defense is just not gonna be able to, if they don't get home on the quarterback. They're going to be getting beat. The DBs are going to be getting beat, and it's going to be ugly. It's going to be muy caliente. And again, all those shootouts, I love Devante this season. Yes, an ADP, yeah, Etienne. James Robinson. Mr. Scampers. I want to believe. But I do think Etienne is going to be good. I just want the receivers in that range. He's in that running back dead zone, and I just look at Etienne. Getting him in the going in the 4th. It's still a new offense. He hasn't played in 2 years. I know he's got the chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. I love the connection. I really loved his game when he was at Clemson. I just think I'm gonna go receivers at that point. I'm gonna have my hero at that point, and then grab somebody there. Outside of PPR, how can one feel comfortable taking him? Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not comfortable taking Etienne. I want to get a receiver. If you're going running back, if you're in a standard or half PPR league, I mean, you want that certainty. I mean, the other thing is you don't know if he's going to be getting the goal line carries, and if they might bring in a James Robinson or a Snoop Connor to get the goal line carries. I want that certainty. I want those receivers. Who are the receivers that we were talking about in that dead zone? AJ Brown, Michael Pittman, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson. I want those guys. I want those guys, and then take your chances later. I wouldn't worry about guys coming back from. I mean, we saw it with Cam Akers. I still think that he didn't show all the explosion that he had before the injury. I think he'll be better as long as the other soft tissue stuff that he's got going on isn't an issue. I still would grab Darrell Henderson. Oh gosh, I was having a footballer's moment wanting to call him Darnell Anderson. I do think James Robinson is going to be a problem this season for Travis Etienne's overall value. I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be good. I think in Dynasty, I still want Etienne, but in redraft, he's in that dead zone, and I'm just fading that entire dead zone. I was grabbing Brees Hall at that point. I just don't know. I mean, fade the dead zone, grab Pierce, grab Dillon, grab Stevenson, grab Damien Harris, grab them afterward. So, damn. You know what? No, this is Familia. This has been awesome. Thank you all for joining the chat and asking questions. I'm going to close up shop right now because I'm still getting my voice back after my little battle with that ugly virus. Thankfully healthy. Everybody's almost everybody's healthy in my family. We're just making sure that I'm just making sure I still have a voice tomorrow. But hey, make sure you're thank you, Dave. Thank you. Muchas gracias. And I want you to tweet at me. Let me know who you ended up with the 106 there. I want to see, because I'm going to be my draft at that same time. Familia, eso es todo for our show. I just want to thank everybody in the chat. Dame, Mr. Scampers, Albert, Davis, Joe, Jose, right? If you guys haven't seen the starts its salutations, the epic 2 episodes that were in Canton, please go right after you're done with this, go to YouTube and watch it. And if you've already seen it, go to YouTube and watch it again, because you're going to laugh your head off. So also please make sure you're go to fantasypoints.com, use that promo code 22familia10, get your 10% off. Make sure you're getting all of the content. I'm going to be dropping an article on this tomorrow, and I'm going to embed this video. So again, if you missed any part of this, go back to YouTube or go to the article. I've got a little bit more in-depth information on the article. So and that's going to be at familiaffb.com. Again, I push all my content out at Jorge Martin 17. I'm going to have a lot of stuff coming out the next few days. I've been putting out some video bites from the interviews, the NFL Insider interviews that I did over the season. Make sure you're checking those out. They're going to get that last minute information. Oh, sorry about that. So please make sure you're going there. Go to YouTube. Make sure you're giving us a like and subscribe. Thank you, everybody. You guys really came through for us during the NFL Insider Series. We're up over 100. Let's get the next 100 and the next 1,000 subscribers. Also, if you're not watching this on YouTube, go to Anchor, go to Apple, Google, Spotify. Follow us. The audio will be out there right after this. So otra vez, thank you. Buena suerte on your drafts. Next week, we're talking about week 1, Familia. We're going to be dropping a show on Tuesday. Usually it's going to be on Wednesday, but I've got a conflict on Wednesday, so I'm going to drop the preview on Tuesday, and then drop some DFS content later in the week. So otra vez, everybody, thank you, everybody in the chat. And remember, todos somos familia. Salud.